Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Well, we're ready for some real meat. Thank you, Jesus. We started a series on making a difference or changing the world around us. And in order for us to learn to change the world around us, when we talk about the world around us, we're talking about wherever you go, wherever you live. The Bible says you are the light of the world. So wherever you go, you are His representatives. But when He says that we are meant to change the world around us, it would need several things. The first week of this series was we need commitment. You can't do it without a commitment. 2, He says you need, as Pastor Flo mentioned last week, passion. You can't do it without passion. And 3rd, today we're going to talk about what it takes to make a difference. And it takes courage. Now I'm going to tell you a series of stories today. Because in understanding courage, so often people look at courage as, throwing yourself on a grenade and trying to save someone's life and sacrificing yours. But courage is more than that. And God has given us the tools to be courageous. So I want you to look at the person next to you and say, "You mighty warrior."
You mighty warrior.
See, God sees you for what you're going to be. Not what you feel in the moment, not the way you see yourselves. He sees for what He is about to do in your life. Now, I come from a background with a lot of dysfunction, brokenness, drug, alcoholism, name it. Everything you can think of. I wasn't raised in a church. A guy has plucked me out of all that chaos and done something new. And I know because He did it for me, I know He can do it for any one of you.
Amen.
That is a fact.
Amen.
Courage doesn't come from our own strength. You need passion and commitment. And you need to take courage because it takes courage to make a difference in the world around us, folks. You can only change the world if you're going to be a changed person. Turn to someone. You need to be a changed person if you want to change the world. But so hard to change. I work with a lot of people, I counsel many, and I always give them this book. I refer them to a book, tell them to get this book, and I want to recommend this book. And the book is called Who Moved My Cheese? This book is this small, you can read it in half a day. But that book, by Dr. Spencer Trace Johnson, teaches the concept of what it requires to change. Basic principles. And God has given us something for us to help us to change. And have you ever read that book? Anyone here ever read that book?
I have.
I recommend you read this book.
Yes.
It is fun to read. It is easy read. It is simple read. And it is powerful. And it shows a concept of why it's so difficult for some people to change. And then it in turn tells you how to get that started. But the only way to change the world is if you are a changed person. And you can't change the world by imitating it.
Amen.
You cannot imitate anyone and make a change. You have to literally be a changed person.
Amen.
Jesus said in John 16, as He's talking to the disciples, He says to them, in this world you're going to have hardship. You're going to have troubles. And He's telling the disciples this personally, very direct. He says, expect it. Turn to someone and say, expect it.
Expect it.
Sometimes your trouble is going to come because of your consequences. But a lot of times your trouble may just be things that come up, that just happen. Now I was studying the last 2 days what the message the Lord wanted to bring forth on all the material that He has given me, and I studied it and I looked up to it. And today I want us to renew our determination to live a confidence and courage life and lifestyle. And this is what it's going to take to change your world. And it will take courage. So turn to someone and says, it's going to take courage. Now, as you know, courage is not the absence of fear.
Courage is not the essence of
Fear is going to come. It is not giving into it, correct? Courage is facing my issues. Say it. Courage is facing our issues. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this story. A client comes for his first therapy session, right? And he has a small cucumber in his up his nose. And then he has a carrot in his left ear and a banana in his right ear. And he goes into the therapist's office and he says to him, I have a problem. He says, can you help me figure out what's wrong with me? And he tells this to the therapist. And the therapist says to him, you're not eating properly. Sounds funny, right?
Yeah.
But so often, we're not living right. We're not doing right. And we can't see the dysfunction in our lives. And here God's saying, you need to open your eyes. Paul addresses the Corinthians church. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. You look it up. And Paul says to the Corinthian church, examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. He's saying, I want you to examine to find out if you're being right with God and yourself. He says to him, test yourself. Do you not realize that Christ Jesus is in you? Unless, of course, you fail the test. And Paul is addressing a church because so often, even in the church, you find individuals who are still functioning in a capacity or in a way that is not right with God. And we don't see it. Before we can change the world for the better, we have to change ourselves for the better. And if we can't see we have a problem within ourselves, how in the world are we going to make the changes?
Amen.
We battle with so many issues. I know them well. But then Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, he says that God tells him this. He says to him, my grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. Now I looked up the words weakness and power and what it meant in the Greek. And in the Greek, when you look at the word weakness, because it says in your weakness you are strong, you refer to the word astanas, which means in a spiritual sense, undeveloped, imperfect form of something. It also means an incomplete developed part. And when he says that in our undevelopment, and also it says in another translation, in that same Greek word, to be lax or laxity, not strict or severe, to be careless or negligent. So it gives two different points of view of what weakness is. And the bottom line is that sometimes we're just not developed spiritually. We're not mature. And in looking at this, when Paul was saying that God was telling him, Paul went to God and says, Lord, remove this burden from me. Remove this obstacle, this thorn in my flesh. And he was saying to him, this weakness that I have. And God told him, as he says in that verse 9, my grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. God did not remove Paul's physical affliction, He promised to demonstrate His power in it.
Amen, Lord.
Now, what does that mean? God said, I'm not going to remove this obstacle from you, but I am going to demonstrate my power through you. What do you think God is saying to you? Not rhetorical. I want you to think about that a minute. What is God saying? He understands your pain. He understands the struggles we go through in life. But He says, I'm not going to remove that. But Paul needed something to help to set some limitations for him, because Paul was a very strong character. Paul referred that thorn in his flesh as something that the messenger from Satan brought to him.
That's what it was.
But God knew what Paul needed. We must rely on God for our effectiveness rather than simply on our own energy, folks. We don't have what it takes. Our weakness not only helps us develop Christian character, it also depends on our worship.
Yes.
Admitting these weaknesses help us to depend not on people or ourselves, but on God. I'm going to tell you a little story. I told you in the beginning of this that it takes commitment, passion, and courage. When I first came to the church of the Lord many eons ago, I was a broken person. A lot of dysfunction. God set me free, and He brought leaders in my life that taught me the Word of God. They encouraged me. They supported me. They took me in as part of the family. And I started to grow and develop in this relationship with God. Now, these leaders, although they were men and women of God, were not perfect. They struggled with their own stuff, just like everyone else does. And as I developed in this church, I grew. They never enabled me in any way. They taught me the Word. They equipped me with the tools. They even went as far as invested in my education, in my Christian education. And I took that. And when I learned that, the Lord came, and before I knew it, I didn't know where I was at. They saw something in me. They saw, before they even asked me to become a youth pastor, they saw this in me. I was already doing it. And because they saw that in me, they saw, what did they see? The commitment. They saw the passion. And they saw the courage, because I was a broken man. I couldn't even believe that they had chosen me to be a youth pastor because of how I felt about myself. Didn't feel qualified. Didn't feel capable. Smart enough. Didn't feel any of those things. Matter of fact, I had to pray quite a bit to come up here to preach the message. Sometimes those things don't go away. They're like a thorn that's there, keeping me humble. And as I grew in the Word, and I developed, and I became part of the ministry, I was in what God had called me into, being a youth pastor. In my element. Not my own strength, not my own abilities, but on His. Before I knew it, coming down from the mountaintop, I had a couple of members come to me. And they approached me and said, I'm doing ministry upstate, and it is wonderful and powerful. And these two members come to me and said, by the way, the senior pastor is not doing right. We saw him do some inappropriate things. I said, okay. And they were telling me because they wanted me to do something about it. I prepared or equipped to do that. All I knew was that I needed to be responsible for me. I was comfortable with that. But here comes a scenario, a situation that takes me out of my comfort zone. To take me out of a place that I am not prepared for. So what I could do is pray. Then I address another pastor. And we decide, well, let's pray and then address the pastor. As I addressed this particular pastor, or as we addressed the pastor, who was our mentor, and they were great mentors, I have to say. First of all, I didn't even realize that his wife, who was one of my mentors as well, had left the church. And I wasn't even aware of it. Because I was so busy in what God called me to do. All I ever did was when we had meetings, we had staff meetings regularly, I'd bring out a report of what God was doing, how it was going, and so on. And if I needed to do something, the Lord led me to do something else, I would go and present it to the leaders, and they would approve, and they were always supportive because it was about what God was doing. There was accountability. But I wasn't prepared for that. And when we're not prepared for something, it requires courage. So we went and addressed the pastor, and of course, sure enough, he denied it. I knew without a doubt that the individuals that addressed me were right. They were not the type of people that would say something that they didn't see. But it turned out that they found out that his wife had left, that there were problems going on, and so I had to address it again. Finally, he was admitting to the fact that he was ready to step down, he wasn't going to do ministry anymore. That shared a little more of a challenge, because when you're not prepared for something like that, you wonder, what would it take? So he said to us, me and the other pastors that were there, if we wanted to take over the church. I was speechless. I didn't know what to say, because sometimes when you know that you're out of your depth. Ever felt that you're out of your depth? There's no way how to get out of a situation? That's how I felt. So I couldn't give him an answer. The Bible teaches us, and God says in His Word, that we need to, a man's wisdom gives him patience. It is his glory to overlook an offense. So we weren't looking to take him down or hurt him. It was to really help him to grow. Now I come from a background, like I said, dysfunction. I have to shift gears a minute. Tell a little of my upbringing. I was my mother's a single parent mother, and recently she's fallen ill in the last 3 weeks. This is a woman that was hard as nails. And to see her broken like that in pain is not an easy sight. But growing up, she was what we call an enabler. She adopted my little cousin, whose mother had passed away, and I wasn't around for his life, but although every time he did wrong, she would excuse it, just like she did my brother. They could do no wrong, and they got into trouble all the time. And I'm talking about stealing cars, and drugs, and everything you can think of. And she would dismiss it, oh, poor so-and-so. So my cousin, growing up, spent most of his time in jail. I wasn't there for him. But for my brother, I was always there to step in for him, take care of him, and do all those things. So he was, but what happened to him is that he became entitled. He could do no wrong. And there are dangers with that, because we need accountability. I made a mistake because she asked me to take care of her, so I would take care. And I was always a caretaker. Very unhealthy. So I had to learn to address as the Lord led me. God wants us to be honest about our issues, folks. Turn to someone and say, God wants you to be honest. No one is perfect. We all have issues. But we hate to admit our faults because we're afraid of what others would think. Afraid of looking like a failure. And that was a big part of what I struggled with. That makes mistakes, because where I come from, making a mistake and looking weak wasn't a pleasant place to be. So my mother enabled my cousin, he never took any, she crippled him, like she crippled my brother. They never had any consequence for the stuff they did. You know, consequences are necessary, folks. Teaches you. But as Paul is saying that God has given him the power to be, he says, in my power, he says, your weakness is perfect. Then he says in verse 10, that's by Christ's sake. For Christ's sake, I delight in my weakness, in my hardship, in my persecution, in my difficulties. When we are strong in our inabilities or resources, we are tempted, again, to go lax, to get prideful, to lose sight of these things. But where does it take the courage? Where does the courage come in? God doesn't intend us to seek to be weak, folks, passive or ineffective. He doesn't want us to stay in the same place. So often we're so comfortable with doing the same old thing because we're comfortable in it, you're not going to grow. Turns out you won't grow if you stay in the same place.
You won't grow if you stay in the same place.
So when you're enabled, when you call dependent or become codependent, that you can't make decisions on your own, always relying on someone to help you, you're being crippled. God says, I was meant to make leaders, disciples. There's three things that we have to sort of do regularly to be a courageous Christian, folks. We must take ownership. Turn to someone and say, you must take ownership.
You must take ownership.
You must stand firm
You must stand firm
to the truth. And you must speak up.
You must speak up.
You can't just let things go on being the way they are. It doesn't mean God won't give you victory like He gave every victory He can think of. Proverbs 19:8. The Amplified Version said, he who gains wisdom loves his own life. He who keeps understanding shall prosper and find good. He's saying that it is good to have to love yourself, yes. He says, but it is only when your soul is at stake. So often your soul can either go one way or the other. It can seek the spirit or it can seek the flesh. But when it's seeking the flesh, now remember this proverb says that it doesn't condone a self-centered person who loves and protects his own selfish interests. It's not what it's saying. Will do anything to serve themselves. And a lot of times we can use ministry to hide behind them. It becomes religion. We can hide, we can use God as a drug and not take responsibility. And God is saying it's time to grow up. So when my mother enabled my cousin, and he was crippled, my brother, he was crippled, and now had entitlement issues, could do no wrong. Here comes the Lord, sets me free, sets me on a different path. Not a pleasant experience. So going back to the story where the pastors didn't want to get reconciled. He was too embarrassed, too ashamed, for whatever the reason, he didn't want to face that. He was too prideful in his own way. So he brings in this other pastor, who I met at pastors' conferences that we used to go every year. It's a prayer summit, which a lot of pastors from all the regions will come together. And I met all of these pastors. He's bringing one guy who I just didn't like. For some reason. Not that I had anything personal against him. He was just an individual that we just didn't click. And who does he bring to want to replace him is this person. That forced me to say, I'm going to either have to serve under this guy or I'm going to have to be responsible for the church. I've never wanted to be responsible for a church or anyone else. If anyone knows that testimony, I said, I'd rather do anything other than pastor a church. That I have to muster the courage. But my courage came from the Word of God. In my relationship and in prayer. That's where courage comes from. Now, people can tell you some good things and tell you you're good and support you and pray for you. But hold on to what the Word of God tells you. Because if you are dependent on a person for you to do ministry. Now, when the pastors came to me and chose me as, man, I was already in a place with God, moving in the Spirit, and here facing these things now coming. Because in this world, things are going to come up when you least expect it. So now, I'm in the situation where he doesn't want to read, the pastor, other pastor, myself decide we'll take over the church. We decide, well, we're in it together, but one of us will take the lead, the other one will support, and that allowed me to continue to do what I was doing before. Now, until the Lord showed me that the other pastor wasn't doing right. And I addressed the situation. He said, we'll talk, and we talked many times addressing it. Because so often, you have to realize and ask yourself, what am I neglecting to do that I know is right? Yeah, ask yourself, what am I neglecting to do? The courage to take a fearless inventory of your heart is what separates a mature believer from a believer that is stands still or going backwards. If you're not moving forward, you're either standing still or going where? Backwards. Now we may think that we don't have the capability, and we don't. But you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You can do all things through Christ who what? So we need to evaluate. So I have to evaluate a lot of things there, because now addressing the other pastor for stuff, and again, same scenario. Things are so bad. But people don't follow fakes, phonies, and cons. That they don't last. But honest living is a powerful witness.
Amen.
I had some issues because I never wanted to be responsible, and I struggled with that for a very long time. My responsibility is to let people grow and help them to grow on their own, but if they're still dependent on someone for you to find your way, then you're not heading in the right direction. Because God, Jesus, is all you really need. Turn to someone. Jesus is all you really need. Now, don't get me wrong, leaders are there to help you, to develop, and to train you, and support you. They're not meant for you to be dependent on. Any codependent relationship in a church is unhealthy. Completely unhealthy. Because God has given you a spirit to honor Him as He leads you. And anyone in any leadership position should have that leading of that spirit in them. But when you're not following them, courage is standing up for what's right. Paul could honestly say, follow me as I follow Christ. Because he could also say, I am the chief of sinners. None of us have it all together. Turn this on. None of us have it all together. We have to pray every day. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Stay true to what you believe. He said, be courageous, be strong. Because in your weakness, you are truly strong. When you can acknowledge that we don't have it all together. And it doesn't matter how much you can go to an individual to say, listen, this is not the right way. No matter how mature, if they're blind, they're blind. If you're following a leader that is blind, when they make the fall, what happens to you? So So I see many fall their way. Because they didn't take responsibility for where they were at in the Lord. Remember, you can do all things through who? Christ. Who strengthens you. Many Christians are afraid to stand up for the truth. We are afraid that we will be labeled narrow-minded, or prejudiced, or judgmental, or old-fashioned, or out of date, or bigot, whatever the case may be. They'll always label you some way. But I know the danger of enabling people. I've done it. I've seen it. And there are times when we can't do nothing for them because you can't fix anyone. Turn this on. You can't fix anyone. You can't change anyone. The only one you can fix and change is who? With God's help. And so often we rely on someone because we lack the courage. The Bible teaches us what it takes. God says, when I know the difference between right and wrong, and so that you know that in the Bible it refers to maturity. When you're mature, you know the difference between right and wrong. Do you really need someone to tell you that? But if you're blind, you can't see nothing. It becomes religion. The Bible says, when I know the difference between right and wrong, and I do nothing about it, it's evil. All of us know people who are messing up their lives, being destructive towards others, ignoring God and going against His will for their lives. Sometimes it says you're going to be the voice in the wilderness, in the desert. Here's the thing. Someone walks into your... You have an encounter with someone in the street. You need the courage. Courage is speaking up for Christ. Courage is being a representative of what He's done in your life. It's time to take a stand, to make a difference. It does take courage. Because now you have to break habitual patterns. From being so lax, so comfortable with where things are in your life. Yes, scary, absolutely. I know scary. I know what it's like to be out of control, to be out of my own depth. I know what it's like. It's not a good feeling. But it's not about feeling. It's about the truth that sets you free. And He sets you free. So often we think that this is all we know. This is all I have. But remember, He says to you, you're a mighty warrior. You're meant to make a difference in the world around you. Not to try to fix anyone. It's to change you. They'll see it in you. Being a living witness is the truth. That witness will be revealed, because sometimes they don't have to say anything. They'll see it, just like those pastors saw the passion, the commitment, and the courage. When they start to see that, they'll see Christ in you. Amen. That's the victory you have today for a world that is blind and lost. Are you ready to take courage? Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we know, Lord, that so often it's beyond us. We know that it takes courage, Lord. It takes what you have to offer, your word and your truth. It is not in our own power, because you tell us not to lie or lean on our own understanding. but to trust in the leading of your Holy Spirit in your word.